This is Grace Notes. I'm Alan Button, and on behalf of our staff here at Life 103.1, thank you for joining us for our special 4th of July edition of Grace Notes. What we thought we would do is share some thoughts, some experiences, memories, some special music, and just focus on what the 4th of July is all about, what it has been about for us here at the station. If you've been listening this week, you know that we've been airing portions of the Declaration of Independence, which, by the way, will be airing in its entirety tomorrow at noon and at 6 o'clock. I'm always struck in hearing or reading the words of the Declaration by these particular portions. Jefferson wrote on behalf of the founders, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." And it always grabs me when I read at the end of the Declaration of Independence what these men pledged and what it was that they had committed to and how significant the risks were that they were taking. They said this, "And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." It was 87 years later that Abraham Lincoln in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, spoke words that say something about the remarkable significance of those self-evident truths and the pledge that the founders made to one another. He did get one thing wrong, though. He said that the world will little note nor long remember what we say here. In fact, the Gettysburg Address stands at the pinnacle of American oratory. Here it is, the words spoken by Lincoln on November 19th, 1863, as read by voice actor Sam Waterston for the Ken Burns PBS miniseries, The Civil War.
77 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Joining me in the studio now is Michaela. Michaela, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me.
Thank you for inviting me.
Tell you what, Michaela, I know given your background, you've got some special memories related to the 4th of July. Tell us about them.
That is correct. This year, I am reminded of my time growing up in Europe. And as you may guess, over there, they don't observe our Independence Day. And one of the memories is, as a family, we would make it a point to celebrate the 4th of July as Americans in a foreign country.
You were in an Eastern European country primarily, weren't you?
That is correct. Romania. It borders Bulgaria and Hungary. So yes, Eastern Europe. An
area of Europe that certainly has its history of totalitarianism.
Very true, yes. That and then in the 80s, I believe, they were under communist rule with Ceausescu, their dictator. So, yep, they have a long history.
So you would hold a party?
Yes. We were able to connect with the locals, the Romanians there, and invite them to a, quote, American party, show them what a barbecue is. You know, you have the hot dogs, hamburgers, and ketchup and all the condiments and stuff, and just show them how Americans do it. They would see it in movies, and they could experience it for themselves. And yeah.
Were they enthusiastic about joining you?
Oh, definitely. They were excited to experience it for themselves and be a part of it as well, and not just be observers in it.
What did you learn from that?
Over the years, those times together, it taught me the desire for freedom is universal. And here in the U.S., we are privileged to have men and women who fought and continue to fight for liberty and freedoms that are worth standing up for and making the ultimate sacrifice.
It occurs to me that some of that fighting for liberty that you talk about, the freedoms that you refer to, some of that struggle, it actually continues internally, even here in the United States.
Yes, definitely. I think the question, I guess, for individuals is how much you're willing to fight for. And, there are some battles that you let be and others that you have on your heart that you can't just stand by and do nothing about. And I think in today's culture, currently, we're all just internalizing everything and trying to see what we value as individuals and as a nation.
Well said. I'm reminded too, Michaela, speaking of struggles for freedom, as you may know, this week China in Beijing passed this new National Security Act with respect to Hong Kong, and there's some real concern about the restrictions on freedom that new statute represents.
Yes. Yep. Like I mentioned before, the desire for freedom is universal, and we are all doing our part in trying to keep that.
That's great, Michaela. Thank you for joining me, and happy 4th of July to you and your family.
Yes, thank you, Alan, and I hope our listeners and their families all have a blessed Independence Day.
Joining me now is Mary. Mary, I know that our listeners, many of them have been around long enough to know that this is not your first 4th of July. True?
True, very true.
And I know also, happen to know, a little birdie told me that you had many 4th of Julys before you even joined the Life 103.1 team.
Yep, that's true.
That's all by way of leading into something that I understand you want to share, a memory related to 4th of July?
Sure. I kind of grew up in upstate New York, Finger Lakes, and 4th of July was just a really special family time. It was kind of the beginning of summer, really, for us there. And we would gather together. Fireworks was always part of it, but chicken barbecue, strawberry picking because strawberries were in season, then ice cream making, of course, and a fire down at the lake roasting marshmallows to make s'mores. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
That does sound pretty good. And how does all that relate, if it does, to how 4th of July got started?
Well, my song relates to it's Woody Guthrie's "This Land Is Your Land."
Great segue.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
We grew up really appreciating the land. We did a lot of camping. Actually, took a month and went across the country when I was younger, and so we saw a lot of the country and appreciated the different regions and what makes us all together Americans, and really valuing the land and the people. And so I love this song. The Peter, Paul, and Mary version is probably my mom's favorite, but I want to go with Woody Guthrie's version since it's his song. This Land Is Your Land.
That sounds great. Let's hear it. This land is your land. Joining me now is Kelly, our Director of Operations. Kelly, I know you've been busy. You are busy. Thanks for joining me, and happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July, Alan.
Kelly, you've brought to my attention a quote that is pretty neat by what I understand is a former congressional clergyman. Have I got that right?
Yes, Gerald Stanley Lee was his name.
Okay. Well, tell us what he said.
The quote is, "America is a tune, it must be sung together."
Give us that again. That's short but profound.
America is a tune. It must be sung together.
Why did that get your attention?
Well, we're a radio station, so I thought it was pretty relevant considering the tune and sung references, but it also applies to the current state of the country and America as a whole, that we need to come together.
Man, we're on the same page. I thought exactly the same things. We're a music station. This fellow was talking about song, using it as a metaphor for unity within the country. America is a tune. It must be sung together. Yeah, right now, especially, we seem to be in the middle of some significant discussions about being apart and trying to come together. Well, Kelly, anything else you want to say?
I think that's it. Just happy 4th of July and stay safe.
Very good. Same to you, Kelly. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan.
With me now in the studio is Jessica. Jessica, thanks for stopping in.
Thanks for having me.
You've selected a song that you think would be worth our playing, and I think we can do that. Where the Stars and Stripes and the Eagle Fly by Aaron Tippin. Why have you suggested that one?
It just seems to fit with the theme of Independence Day and patriotic music and America and loving your country. It's a good song. It speaks for itself.
With a focus on the flag, and I noticed reference to Lady Liberty in New York Harbor. But you've never been there, Jessica, right?
No, I've never been there, but I've seen it.
You know from the pictures.
Yes.
We're going to have to get you there sometime.
Maybe someday.
Well, let's hear it. Where the Stars and Stripes and the Eagle Fly by Aaron Tippin. Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks.
Well, if you ask me where I come from, here's what I tell everyone.
In the studio with me now is Pete. Pete, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let me, just by way of introduction, let folks know that Pete has made a career in the radio business, and along the way, he spent some time in Beckley, West Virginia. And since our staff have a lot of memories related to 4th of July and other thoughts and comments, Pete fits right in with something he's going to tell us about from around 1967. Have I got that right, Pete?
Right.
Tell us about it.
Okay. As I say, I worked in Beckley, West Virginia, and had a radio station there. And so what happened is we had a program on the air called Know Your History Hour, and it was hosted by S.L.D. Love. And, of course, we would have listeners to call in or write letters in and tell us about the station, how much they enjoyed it. And this one guy called us and says, you guys do a great job. Says, I like the music. And then he says, but the one thing is you guys wave the flag too much.
You wave the flag too much.
Right.
Okay. So, patriotism was not something your station was embarrassed about.
No. We talked about it a lot.
Okay.
And so the bottom line was that we let this guy that was the host on that show know that we got that call, and so he replied to that guy in a nice letter.
He sent a letter
the
to
host did.
To the listener.
Yes.
Well, tell us about the letter.
The letter then was very well written, to my opinion, and sort of got the guy and put him in his right place. But, people today still ask that same question. Can we wave the flag too much? And I think about the flag a lot. People today, seems like that we're even being apologetic about waving the flag sometimes. If you watch the news programs, we even have flag burnings now, We even have a lot of things that our country's not really should be fond of, in other words.
And you certainly speak from an historical perspective.
That's right.
You've been around a few years.
That's right. I have a son that history is his favorite subject, and so U.S. history, matter of fact. And so I asked that question today, like, what do you think of America? I mean, it's all wrapped up in the flag, I think, and the Declaration of Independence, of course. And so in this letter the guy wrote, he asked that same question. He said, shouldn't every home own a flag and fly it? Not just on July 4th, but on other occasions. And of course, we fly ours all the time at my house.
Uh-huh. You've got some snippets from that letter, as I understand it.
Yes, yes.
Go ahead.
And just one I want to tell you about.
Okay.
And it says, should not every home own and proudly fly the flag? Not just in July 4th and Flag Day, Veterans Day, but every day. Because we should look at it. The flag, to me, is Patrick Henry, Jefferson, Franklin, Washington, Nathan Hale, Gettysburg and Valley Forge, Paul Revere, Jackson, and other great men and women who have given us the heritage. When I look at the flag, I see the Alamo, Corregidor, Pearl Harbor, all these great things that has brought the United States to what it is today. And I don't think we really appreciate it today, some like we should, with a lot of things that's going on. And so that's what the flag means to me. Every time I see the flag, and of course we change ours out every so often too. If it gets a little bit tattered or something, we take it down and do what we're supposed to do to it. But people need to honor the flag more because it's the greatest symbol for our nation.
It reminds me of that Johnny Cash song, Ragged Old Flag.
Yep.
Do you know that one?
Yep. Uh-huh. Sure did. That's the whole thing. And today, no, we don't wave the flag too much. We've gotten away from it, Alan. And so that's one thing that I appreciate you letting me talk about because, folks, we need to wave the flag because that means a lot to our nation.
Thank you, Pete, and happy 4th of July.
Thank you.
With me now is Christina, our producer of Grace Notes. Christina, welcome.
Hi, Alan. Thanks.
Well, as you look forward to the 4th of July, is there anything particular that comes to mind?
Well, I think this year, for a lot of us, the 4th of July looks a little bit different than it has in the past. I know for my family, we do a family reunion with my husband's side of the family in central Pennsylvania every year. They've done it for like 40 years. There's over 100 of us that come, and we've obviously had to move that to kind of a virtual reunion this year. So it'll look a little bit different, but we're excited still to watch fireworks on TV. And, it's a great time, I think, to sit back and reflect on how far our country has come and where we're going. And it's just a fun summer holiday.
Well, Christina, I know that you've got some special interest in 4th of July given your husband's career. You want to say a word or two about that?
Yeah, my husband is a service member. He's been in the Army for over 10 years now, and so it definitely hits a little closer to home for us. Growing up, I thought a lot about the Revolutionary War and what our founding fathers did for our country, but now as an adult and as a military wife, I think about our current service members and everybody that's come before them as well, what they've done for our country to keep us safe. And, it's just a different level of respect, I think, for what they do day in and day out.
I think that's a great lead-in, actually, to a song that you've selected for us to play. Tell us about the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Well, this is Battle Hymn of the Republic is just a favorite song of mine. I remember growing up in New England and watching the Boston Pops on the 4th of July every year, and they always played the Battle Hymn of the Republic. I know that there's a long history with this song going back to the Civil War, but it's just one of my favorite patriotic 4th of July songs.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It is amazing to me to see how long the song has been around and how popular it has been and how many different places and by how many different artists and groups it's been performed. Really a moving hymn related well to the Republic that we're celebrating. Well, let's hear it. And thank you, Christina. Happy 4th of July to you and your family.
Thanks, Alan. Same to you and yours.
Here it is, Battle Hymn of the Republic, and we're going to hear a version by Jim Nabors.
Mine eyes have
recently heard a news report about a number of immigrants who had become citizens. And it occurred to us that we might close things out by sharing the citizen oath, the oath of allegiance. Here to read that for us is our programming manager, Will Robinson. Will, why don't you go ahead and take it right from the beginning? I hereby declare.
I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen. That I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by the law. That I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by the law. That I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law. And that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, so help me God.
Thank you, Will. And I might add as a footnote that if there are any citizen applicants who have titles of heredity or positions of nobility in a foreign state, they're required to renounce those titles or positions with an additional clause in their oath of allegiance. I further renounce the title, such and such title, which I have heretofore held, or I further renounce the order of nobility to which I have heretofore belonged. It goes without saying, I suppose, that for a non-citizen to become a U.S. citizen, it's a pretty big deal. With that, we'll close this special edition of Grace Notes, and on behalf of all of us here at the station, happy 4th of July.